everybody, it's JVR3 Collector back with a new video. It's been like 7 months. It's crazy. Good to make another. It's good to be back. I'm coming back here with another ranking video. The one I made last year for 2020 did pretty well, so I thought, oh, I'll do another one for 2021. It's ranking every Marvel Legend I purchased this year, and let's get started. Before we start, it's actually really funny that this year is a lot easier to rank my bottom like 10 figures. There were a lot more figures that I had problems with or that I disliked compared to last year. It's just, I don't know what happened this year with some of these Marvel Legends. They just were disappointing in some way, shape, or form. And then before we get started, I just want to do some honorable mention figures that are either not real Marvel Legends or they're customs or stuff like that. So before we get started, I just want to get an honorable mention to the Titanium Man from Marvel Select. Not a Select collector usually, but this figure works perfectly with Marvel Legends. If anything, it could be even a little bit too small because it would be a little bit bigger. I don't want to get too far into it. But anyways, great figure. I just wanted to give a shout out to it. Next up is a custom figure that I got from my friend Seth Allen, New Collector Customs on Instagram. Quicksilver. That's use that for my Avengers. And I also got this Black Knight with the laser sword from him as well. And then another figure I got from another friend from Kyle Bishop Toyworks. I think that's his name on Instagram. I'll put a link for it in the description. I'll try to remember to do it. Spider-Man 2099 custom. Far superior to the official 2099 that we got this year. I skipped on that figure, so you won't see that one on this list. So I want to give a huge shout out to Kyle. This thing is awesome. I actually really enjoy this. There's even magnets on its feet even. And then another custom real quick. Another Black Knight. I got that's Sir Percy. It's basically just the Black Knight, and I bought a new a cloth goods outfit for him to make Black Knight from Scotticus Customs. I just wanted to recommend that to everybody. Not an official Marvel Legend or anything, but I feel like it was a great addition to my shelf this year. And last but not least, it is a true Marvel Legend, but I feel like it's unfair to rank this compared to the you know, the $20 basic figures you can buy in a retail store. But the Sentinel, I mean, the craftsmanship, this thing is great. I mean, mine did not have the knee issues. I posed him several times. He's fine. Great figure. If I was comparing like quality of toy, you know, between the, you know, he'd obviously be #1. So I figured it wouldn't be that fair. It wouldn't be a big surprise. So Sentinel, he's going to mention here, but he's not going to be on the list because I felt like it was just not fair to include him. It's a $350 figure, selling for a lot more. Insane craftsmanship. A body that's probably never going to get reused ever again. Yeah, he's my master mold on my shelf. Yeah, so. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so I bought 61 Marvel Legends this year. I believe there was like 124 that came out. If you know me, I only buy the comic book figures of classic characters. So, number 61 in my countdown is Retro Invisible Woman. I mean, come on. She's not the bottom of everyone's list. I don't know what you're going to say. I mean, just look at that face. It's not... I mean, come on. Like, it's a face even a mother could hate. So, yeah, that's... she's the bottom of the list easily. I love these costumes for the Fantastic Four, but just hate her face. I put the Walgreens Invisible Woman head on there, makes her way better. But as a base figure, that's what she is. Plus, mine also has a really bad paint job around there. So, yeah, number 61, easily Invisible Woman, but a very close runner-up for worst figure of the year. From the House of X wave is Marvel Girl, and I've always wanted a Marvel Girl figure, but I don't know what they did with her, man. They made her really small for one, which I like that they're fixing the scale problems in all the females, but she's not the same size as the other Jean Greys, so it kind of ruins it. Her hair color is totally different now, and the biggest thing, where the way the boots are, not the biggest thing, but one of the biggest things is her boots. How like that just looks awful, and then her torso articulation. That is the lamest torso articulation that we've ever gotten on a Marvel Legend, and I just really dislike it. I think this is really not a good figure. Could have even taken the worst spot, but that face on the Invisible Woman just put her over the edge. Also from the House of X wave, I only bought 3 figures in the House of X wave, and all 3 of them are in the bottom 10 here, I believe. It is Omega Sentinel. I wanted to use this head because I'm a more classic looking thing. I don't like the red head, the red face. But they didn't paint her skin tone. She's Indian, so she should have dark hair, darker complexion. That's awful. It's really crappy. But my biggest problem with this figure is the way her hips work. They gave her wide jointed hips on this figure. I mean, yes, you can turn that and twist this out, but her leg still sticks out, like it still kicks out at a weird angle. It's very odd. They haven't used those types of hips in a while, so I don't know why they did it with her. Yes, it's a brand new body mold and everything. It doesn't make any sense. This could have been a really great figure, but it's really not, and I wish it was. So yeah, Omega Sentinel is number 59 it's 59th on my best Legends of the Year list, or Legends ranking list. Number 58 is another X-Men character. We're sticking to X-Men for a while here. This one's a lot more recent, from the Age of Apocalypse Wave 2. It is Cyclops. 2 reasons for Cyclops being this low. It's that hairline, man. Like, that awful hairline. He's like balding in front almost. That is so bad. That is so bad. But the second reason is I'm tired of the Bucky Cap mold being used for Cyclops. I personally love the Bucky Cap mold, so it's not because it's the Bucky Cap mold, it's because it's used for Cyclops. Cyclops is 6'3", pretty big guy. I got a custom made of the Jim Lee Cyclops because I hated how small he was in the Bucky Cap, and this guy continues on that tradition. And like, he has like no accessories. I don't think he even came with an optic blast hand. But yeah, that hairline and him being on the Bucky Cap, it's real downer. So he's that's why he ranks so low. Number 57 would be from the Stiltman wave at the very beginning of 2021, the Hand Ninja. Some people really love the Hand Ninja. I personally don't. I only got the one. I mean, I thought the idea that they had with this guy was great, having the Hand Ninja come with the Stiltman build pieces, so it makes that Stiltman as tall as you want. But in the execution, I just didn't think was good on the Hand Ninja itself. This is a really large ninja. I mean, I was just talking about how I wish Cyclops was taller. He should be tall, you know, and this ninja even is taller than the Bucky Cap body, and it just doesn't make any sense for a small, super agile guy to be so large, especially bigger than the Bucky Cap body. So the Hand Ninja gets really low ranking for me, and his articulation's okay, I guess, but it's not mind-blowing. And then the way his hood sits on his head, just not a great figure. I wish it was better, but for my money, the Articulated Icons Red Ninjas are the superior Hand Ninjas. Okay, and then next, from the Villains wave, the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave, we have the Hood. The Hood's never been a character I really cared all that much about. He's okay, but the big thing is he's just bland. Like, he's very, very dull and boring. His face is kind of entertaining, I guess. Wish it would have came with an alternate head. Show his demon form and then maybe a calm head. I hate when they just always have the screaming faces. Screaming faces are cool. I like the screaming faces, but I wish they'd give an alternate relaxed head as well. The biggest problem with the Hood by far was his actual hood. He's the Hood and his hood sucked. I don't know why they did that with this character, why they gave him that whole big solid hood piece. I replaced his hood with a fabric hood cape, with a fabric cape, and it's better, but even this fabric cape's not the best quality. But for this character, I wasn't going to spend a whole big bucks to make this a good figure. He's okay, but he could have been a lot better, and yeah, it's kind of sad. But honestly, I'm not that disappointed. He's not a character that I love that much anyways, so let's go on to the next. Okay, and number 59, 55, I mean, well, I think that's where we're at, is Callisto from the Wolverine box set. A few issues with this figure. Number one is her scar is on the wrong eye, for one. She has the eye patch on one eye and the scar on the other. Sometimes she's drawn with the scar on the eye patch eye, sometimes, but more often than not, it's the scar on the opposite eye. That's one issue. But my biggest issue is actually they made her too pretty. Callisto is an ugly, ugly, ugly woman. She's a very manly looking woman in the comics. And they made her very womanly. I mean, for one, her boobs, her breasts are way too large. She should be very, very flat. And you know, just it doesn't make this character, it doesn't make this figure true to the character. She's not womanly looking in the comics, and they made her very womanly looking in the figure. That kind of is frustrating, because I want my toys to look as accurate as possible, and that makes it that's a huge inaccuracy. Otherwise, I mean, she's okay, her paint's okay and everything. It's just, yeah, I'm not going to dwell too much on it. So next, from the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave, once again, we have Dormammu. As you can see, I painted the face and Dormammu's mouth a little bit there to make it better. His flaming head should be yellow as well, but it's not. Just the color of the flames makes him a huge disappointment. His face just disappears in that orange flame, and it's really disappointing because Dormammu is great, and this is a classic character that I've always wanted. I mean, I have the old Build-A-Figure, or the SDCC version actually, which is great. It's a more modern look, but I always wanted a classic Dormammu, and him, the color of the flames just really, really ruined that for me. And he is usually drawn as the 6 foot tall size, but for my money, I usually like Dormammu to be big, huge, and imposing because he's a big, scary monster. But the human size is fine. It's not inaccurate or anything. The big issue with him was just his flame, and it's a huge drawback, him not having that flame being the right color. Next up, also from the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave, is Zemnu the Titan himself. Believe it or not, I've always wanted a Zemnu the Titan figure. I love Zemnu the Titan. I think he's fantastic. I think he looks great. My biggest issue with him is the same issue I have with Sasquatch, is that he's too small. Sasquatch is a 10 foot tall creature. He's a lot larger than the Hulk. Zemnu is also a 10 foot tall creature who's a lot larger than the Hulk, but their figures are actually like, I think maybe the same height, but they're definitely skinnier than the Hulk, and that ruins it for me, especially him being a Hulk villain. I'd like him to tower over the Hulk and be really intimidating. Otherwise, he's spot on. He's great. I mean, I wish this thing was more like embedded into his thing, but it's fine. It's a separate piece. No, we're not going to get a brand new sculpt for Zemnu. I mean, we got new hands, feet, and head, and the belt, so whatever. I just wish he was bigger. That's my only issue with him, really. Next up, sticking with Hulk. This figure I have, but I left him at work. I was customizing to make him better. It is Maestro. Maestro is my big issue with him. He's great. He looks awesome. He's just not the look I would want for Maestro. I wish he had the booted pants and maybe some trophies. I'm working on that, making it better. Use that knockoff Juggernaut from AliExpress, AliExpress to make him better, but I haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So he's not here currently, but he would be at this spot on this list. From here on, it's figures that I'm mostly okay with, but just, you know, for differing reasons, they're at this level. So next is Moira McTaggart from the House of X-Wave. Nothing wrong with this figure. Nothing wrong with it at all. It's just Moira McTaggart. It's very bland, and it's just a scientist lady in a dress or a skirt. So she doesn't really rank that high for me just because of that. I'm glad we have a Moira, but it doesn't blow my mind or anything like that. So she's here. After that, we have Stealth Iron Man, who I love. Stealth Iron Man. I got him for my Iron Man armor, and he looks fine just there. My problem with him is he's just not accurate to the comics. His shoulder pads are not right. His gloves and boots are not right. But otherwise, I mean, he still looks awesome. He's a dark blue metallic Iron Man, and you can't really tell when he's just standing there on the shelf that he's not accurate. It's just he's not accurate, and I know that, so it kind of ruins it for me a little bit. But they're never going to give us the full brand new sculpt for Stealth Iron Man. He's always just been a repaint of classic Iron Man, so I can't fault it that much. That's why he's this high, but also why he's this low on the ranking. So that's Stealth Iron Man. Next up is another character who I think is a figure. It's also I actually really enjoy it, but it's a color problem. And now that we're getting towards the middle of the thing here, it's a lot of these things could be interchanged. They could really vary. I could do this list again tomorrow and it'd be a totally different order. But at the moment, this is how I'm ranking them, and I'm putting Tigra next. I've always wanted a good Tigra figure. I used to have the old one. I sold that years ago because I hated it. I knew we were going to get a new one eventually, and I did. And the sculpt and everything is great. It's just her color. She's like neon orange almost. Probably can't tell that much in this lighting because my lighting is not that great. But she's like neon orange, and Tigra is more like a yellow orange usually. The old Tigra figure actually had like the perfect color scheme, just an ugly figure. This one has the great figure, but the bad color scheme. And I wish they did better. I still bought two of her, one for my Avengers and one for my West Coast Avengers. But she's, it actually saddens me to put her this low. If she was the right color, she easily would have been in my top 10 of this year. And next up, a basic figure that was more of an accessory for a bigger figure right there. It is the female Beta Sentinel, Beta Sentinel. Just average basic figure, nothing to write home about. I could even probably rank her lower. She's just basic, nothing to complain about really, nothing to be wild about either. So here we are at number 46, and we're going with another figure that was just an accessory basically, and it's the male Beta Sentinel or Bastion. Again, nothing mind-blowing, nothing crazy about this figure. So he ranks this low. Next up is Morlun from the Armadillo Wave. Nothing really wrong with him. I guess he could be a little bit larger. Morlun is not really a scrawny guy from what I've seen. I mean, he's okay. He has a really, really deep butt chin there, though. Yeah, he's just real basic, and he's not a character I'm a particularly big fan of. So he ranks here. After him is a character we've already had on the list as the very last entry. Here she is again, but as a clear version. It's better because you can't see the ugliness. So yeah, I mean, it does suck. You can kind of see like some of the molding details inside there, but it's a clear figure. What are you gonna do? Yeah, just basic, invisible woman, basic figure. Not much else to say. Better than the painted version. After her, sticking with the Fantastic Four, we got Mr. Fantastic. While it's fantastic that he came with a lab coat, sorry, that was cheesy. His powers are not really represented that well in this figure. Just the stretchy fingers. I hate the stretchy fingers the first time we got it, and then we got it again with him. And so that brings him way down. I love these Fantastic Four costumes. I just wish these figures were more fun. And they're not. So next up, from a 3-pack, I just got like 6 days ago or so. Cannonball. We got Cannonball a few years ago with the explosion legs, and everyone only wanted him with legs, and we finally got it. I'm personally probably never going to pose him with legs. I'm not one of the people who are begging for him to have legs. I'm probably always going to keep the blast effect face on him. So he doesn't really add anything new to my collection. He's just another Cannonball. Makes my other one obsolete. And so, yeah, there we go. Next up, from the Age of Apocalypse Wave 2, we have Rogue. And she looks just like her Age of Apocalypse counterpart. I think she was drawn skinnier in Age of Apocalypse compared to how she looked in the other 90s comics. So I'm not upset about the body mold or anything. It's just, she's just okay. She's not a... I'm not a huge Age of Apocalypse fan, so now I'm just kind of basing on the design, and her design just doesn't do much for me. So, yeah, these moon boot looking things. I mean, it's cool they gave her a brand new sculpt for that. It's just, yeah, just nothing wrong with her. Just the design doesn't really do it for me. So that's why she ranks so slow. And then going back to the Fantastic Four, we got the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four outfit. This is going to be my Johnny Storm in my blue and white Fantastic Four display. He would have ranked a lot higher actually if he had a better head sculpt, a more retro looking head sculpt with like his little, his pretty boy haircut would have made him a lot better. But otherwise, I mean, he's just another basic figure. The Fantastic Four are never going to blow your mind with their sculpts. They're just basic people in spandex costumes. So there's Human Torch. Alright, so at number 39, I believe, is where we're at. Could be totally wrong with my counting here. We have Mr. Hyde, Build-A-Figure. I've always wanted Mr. Hyde for my Avengers villains, and we got Mr. Hyde. It's just not the version I was hoping for. I was not really a big fan of the bowler cap. Yes, he wore this on the Thunderbolts, so this is a good Thunderbolts Mr. Hyde. But if you want a Masters of Evil Mr. Hyde with the big crazy hair and the green thing that covers his coat, yeah, you don't have that. I bought a head cast that has that. I had two Mr. Hydes, one for my Thunderbolts and one for my Masters of Evil, for that exact reason. But because the base figure that we got is this version, he ranks really low. If he was the more classic looking version, he would have ranked way higher on my list. But there you go. Number 39, Build-A-Figure, Mr. Hyde. Next up, from Age of Apocalypse Wave 2, once again, we are going with Age of Apocalypse Magneto. And while he's just okay. I mean, he's just another basic figure. His head is actually really small with the helmet on. I actually might pose him on my shelf with the helmetless head. Also would have been really cool if they would have given us a version that had the face painted black. That's how he was often depicted. It's just, I've never really liked the UK body mold for Spider UK body mold for Magneto. I've liked Magneto. I always see as a bit thicker. He should be more on the Grim Reaper body mold. Yeah, he's just okay. That's why he ranks in the middle of the pack here. So, Magneto. Another figure that's just okay. It's basically just a brand new head, and that's it. From the Wolverine multi-pack, we have Mastermind, Jason Wingard, essential for the Hellfire Club, but just a basic figure. He's the same thing as Sebastian Shaw and Donald Pierce, which I actually think this body works better for him than it did for Shaw. Shaw is it's usually drawn a little bit bigger and buffer than like Mastermind here. But yeah, so Mastermind, just another basic guy. New head, that's about it. Next up, from the Spider-Man Retro fan channel wave, I guess not really a wave, but single figure, we got Sandman. Just a basic, same figure as Hydro Man, basically, but better, because he actually has double jointed elbows and interchangeable, sand hands. Just basic. He's just another reused body mold with a new head and some new accessories. It does kind of confuse me that he has that hole punched through his head on the face. Like he does not care about getting punched in the face, apparently. But yeah, this is my Sandman I use for my Avengers display. So I'm glad I have him. He's just nothing mind-blowing. And next up is, they called it AI Iron Man. So there you go, AI Iron Man. I love the 80th Iron Man body mold, and I've wanted that 80th Iron Man body mold in these classic yellows and reds, and we got it just with the blue Unibeam. If it was yellow, honestly, I actually did repaint. I bought two of these. I repainted one with a yellow arc reactor or Unibeam there, and I love it. But since I had to do that work myself to make it to where I love it, I can't count that. If this had the yellow Unibeam, he would automatically be in my, maybe not top 10, but upper half of the list, at least. But yeah, Iron Man. This stands out really good on the shelf. So here we are at number 34, and I'm going with Quasar from the Walgreens exclusive Quasar. He has a fabric cape from Harker Customs. Fell in love with doing fabric capes this year in all my figures. Almost replaced everybody's cape. Sorry, you guys aren't here for that. He's cool. He's just basic, He has that Robert Redford looking head. I could do without that head. It's just really throws me off having the Robert Redford looking head there. But they gave him new feet on the Bucky Cat body, which is cool, and they gave his arm bracelets, and yeah, he could have had better, if he had good effects, he would have ranked a lot higher. But since he doesn't have the good effects, any new special effects, and he's a basic Bucky Cat body mold figure with a alright average looking head, that's why Quasar ranks in the middle of the pack here. I've actually always wanted a Quasar, and I'm actually on the hunt for a second one. So I have one on my Cosmic display and one with my Avengers. If anyone has a second Quasar they hook me up for a decent price, let me know. Next up, from the Wolverine multi-pack once again. I think this is the last figure that's going to show up in my thing here, in my ranking from that pack. I sold Wolverine, and then Omega Red was just a fodder body, basically. I got Cyber. He's basic, average. Some people wish he was bigger. Some people wish he was smaller. Some people wish all kinds of things. I wish he had more pointy fingers. That's about it. I think he's fine. If you go by his listed height, he's only 6'6". But if you go by his drawn size, he's drawn like massive. And this is like a middle ground between the two. Uses the old Colossus body from the Warlock wave. And it's funny, we actually got that body twice this year, so pretty surprising. Yeah, just basic figure. Could be better, could be worse. It's Cyber. No one really cares that much about this character, so. Next up, sticking with the metallic blue motif, we're going with Shadowcat from Age of Apocalypse. I think this actually looks really, really good for a figure. Not familiar with. I'm somewhat familiar with Age of Apocalypse. I read it recently. I wasn't even born when that storyline came out. To me, it looks good. I think it looks good. It's just no attachment to this look, so that's why she ranks so low. It's great that they did so much sculpt work for her, though. I mean, they use the Lady Deathstrike's legs again, but the torso here is all brand new, and the arms are all brand new. So, and the head brand new with a nice expression. It's not all crazy screaming, but there's some teeth showing, so I like it. It stands out a little bit. I could have actually ranked her higher, actually. I just don't have attachment to the character, so that's why she ranks where she does. And then next up after that is Megan from the Excalibur 3-pack. I think she's good. She's a good Megan figure. She's just another basic female, and her big hair kind of drags her back, makes her back heavy. That's fine. I want her to have big hair. I wish they did big hair on some other females this year that they did not do. Or more females in general with big poofy hair from the, people in the 80s and the 90s and 70s had crazy hair, man. So they really should do more crazy hair on these figures. But yeah, Megan, nothing crazy, nothing essential, but she's essential for your Excalibur. She's a character I've always wanted. She's just a basic female figure, so she doesn't rank that high. And then next up, sticking with the green motif now, from the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure wave, we have the Guardsman, the Vault Guardsman. I got 3 of these guys. I maybe want to get 2 more, maybe. I don't know. Good. It uses Grim Reaper arms and Grim Reaper legs, but it's a whole brand new torso and a new head, and it looks just like the Guardsman. I mean, what else more do you want from this guy? He works good. Nothing mind-blowing, but he's good enough. So, if you wanted a good Guardsman figure, I don't think you're gonna do much better than this. So, yeah, I like him. Don't love him, like him. Now we're at number 29, and we're going with Arcade from the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave. Again, basic guy in a suit. Maybe could have been a little bit shorter, but he has those platform shoes, so you can excuse him being tall. A little bit tall. Yeah, Arcade. I've always wanted an Arcade figure. I mean, they kind of did a good job. I wish his like crazy laughing face actually was this head and not the long hair head. But this head's good too. I mean, I could go either way. Nothing mind-blowing, nothing crazy. Just a character I've always wanted ever since I played Spider-Man X-Men Arcade's Revenge back on the Sega Genesis years ago. But yeah, there's Arcade. Next up from the Excalibur 3-pack is Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat. Good look. This is my favorite look for Kitty Pryde, actually. Maybe I actually want a second one, so I can put this with my early 80s X-Men as well as Excalibur. Only issue is the poofy hair, like I just mentioned with Megan, I wish she, you know, they do more big poofy hair on characters. But I mean, she's good enough. She's passable. She's small. Unlike the previous Kitty Pryde that we got, it was a giant. This is good. We got 2 good Shadowcat figures this year, surprisingly, and I like both of them. There's neither one of them are mind blowing, but they're good enough. So there she goes. Next up was the only figure I was originally going to get from this wave until I decided that I wanted the whole wave because the Build-A-Figure was just too cool and Age of Apocalypse was cooler than I thought. So it's Legion. Yeah, he's the one I wanted the most in the wave because he actually is from the 616 universe. Last year I got the Age of Apocalypse wave because half those characters appeared in the 616. And I could never sell off the rest of them, and now I'm stuck with them. But I'm kind of okay with that now because I got this new wave. I'm going off track about this character. Anyways, Legion, I just think he's great. I've always wanted a Legion figure in my collection, and I have him. He was the only one I was planning to get originally, and now he's average. He was never going to blow my mind. Maybe if they gave him more crazy facial expressions, rather than, I mean, that's not really that crazy. He's actually kind of handsome for a psychopath there with weird hair. But he could have been a little bit more fun with more crazy heads, like I said with Arcade too. But yeah, just basic Legion. Next up, from the X-Force 3-pack, we have Domino. And Domino, I mean, just okay. This is actually more Copycat than it is Domino, which is why I'm ranking her low. I actually really, 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 really wanted a 90s Domino, and I got a 90s Copycat instead. Yeah, she's good. She has double jointed elbows, which is great on a female figure. I actually like her guns. Yeah, she's just okay. You know, she's not the look I was hoping for. And then her little headpiece here actually is very, very weirdly placed. This is after I modified it a little bit to make it a little bit better, but it was really, really covering her, like half her face. I didn't like it very much. So she just ranks middle of the pack here, average. She could have been, if she was a true, like, actual Domino from the 90s, oh man, she probably would have been in the top 10 as well, just like Tigra earlier. I rarely rank female figures that high, but yeah, there's Tigra. I mean, Domino. Copycat. Next up, from the Fantastic Four Retro Wave, another figure I modified to make him more likable for me. It is Human Torch, but he has the Diamond Select, Marvel Select, Android Human Torch head on there. So I'm going to use this as my Jim Hammond Android Human Torch for the Invaders, or the All-Winner Squad, whatever you want to call them. Actually would like a second Android Human Torch to go with the West Coast Avengers, but I mean, come on. Really, this figure, it should have came with an alternate Android Human Torch head automatically. It really should have. It's crazy that we still haven't gotten one. We had the 80th anniversary of Marvel a couple years ago, and it's the 80th anniversary because of Android Human Torch. We didn't get a figure. But anyways, based on this guy, he's okay. My biggest problem with Human Torch figures, they always make him clear. And unlike Iceman, who Iceman turns into physical ice, so he should be clear, Human Torch does not turn into fire. He just catches on fire. So he shouldn't be translucent. He should be, you know, an opaque colored guy with fire on him. So he would rank a lot higher if they gave Human Torch and the proper color schemes. But he's better than the rest of the Fantastic Four, aside from one other member. So here he goes. After him, sticking with the Flamin' On motif here, we're going with Firestar. Love Firestar. We we finally got a Firestar. People were asking for Firestar for years, and we finally got her with 2 different heads. We got the 90s New Warriors head, and then the old classic Spider-Man's Amazing Friends head. And they also came with Miss Lion, which is cool. I'm glad they gave Miss Lion the comic colors rather than the cartoon colors. So some people were upset about that, but I'm actually very happy about it. I'm never going to make the Spider-Man's Amazing Friends. Anyways, she's not double jointed elbowed. She's single jointed elbows, but it works fine for this character. And I think she's great. Maybe not great, but I think she's good. I think she's good enough. Really adds to my New Warriors, and I think she is decent. So there's Firestar. And then another female figure. We're going with, from the Ursa Major wave, Darkstar. I know some people really hated her bland facial expression, but I feel like that fits her character. I think she's kind of just a bland, basic, angry woman with dark force powers, and she's great. I mean, she's good enough. Yes, no double joint elbows once again, but it doesn't bother me that much. She doesn't need them. I actually bought 2 of her, one for the Soviet Super Soldiers, and then one for the Champions. Some people are going to use her with their Winter Guard, which is cool. Soviet Super Soldiers are more for me, though. And yeah, she's good. She's another addition to the character, to the roster. She expanded my Marvel Universe just that much more. Hoping we get her brother Vanguard soon. That'd be really, really cool to add to the Soviet Super Soldiers. But yeah. And sticking with female figures, I'm going with Shriek. Shriek, I know she's a character that people have been asking for years. This is her first ever action figure, and it's crazy. And they gave her double jointed elbows, and I think she looks great, except for her hair. I wish she had bigger hair. It's like I said earlier with Megan, how Megan had great big hair. Shriek should have had great big hair. Otherwise, she's good. I think she's good. I like her. It's just the hair, and that really brings her down a little bit. And she's the character. I'm glad I have her because she really adds to my Spider-Man villains section. And Spider-Man doesn't have very many female villains, so it's kind of cool to have another one. She doesn't mean a whole ton to me, and her hair, that just brings her down. I wish I could rank her higher. I think she looks good otherwise. But, yep. Next up, sticking with villains, from the Fantastic Four Retro Wave, I'm going with the High Evolutionary. And High Evolutionary, I think he looks really, really good. Maybe I really wish I had one of those Gundam markers, really thin Gundam markers, so I can draw the black lines in on his face a little bit more, make that stand out, because he has a lot of great detail. And it's a whole brand new sculpt for this guy. And technically he is the right height, but he's often drawn a lot larger, so he would have been another good one to be a little bit larger. I'm not asking for a Galactus size figure here. I'm saying it's a little bit larger. Maybe Mr. Sinister body. But besides the point, as a very base level High Evolutionary, I think he's really, really good. If he had more height, he would have probably made the top 10 actually. But he is for what he is, for what we have. I think he's good. Just it could have been that much better, Still pretty high ranking. Next up here, and again, a lot of these here in the middle section could really be rearranged in all kinds of different ways. They're all about the same level quality, so they could really vary. So sticking with villains once again, back to the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave, which honestly, I should probably mention this. The Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave might be I think it might be my favorite wave of the year. because the only wave of the year that I wanted every figure that came with the Build-A-Figure piece and the Build-A-Figure itself. Even though most of those figures are ranking fairly low on this list, I think that it was a fantastic wave. Because I really, really did want most of the characters. The only one I didn't get from that wave was Doom. Anyways, so here we go. AIM Scientist Supreme. Not one that I thought was going to rank very high for me. They just did a good job. They did good reuse with the arms and legs, and that the new parts are awesome. He really looks like he really works well being a higher ranking member of your AIM display. So I like him. He's just not mind-blowing, but he's good. He's surprisingly good. So that's why he ranks this high. Because otherwise, based on just the character, he would have been, you know, bottom 15, bottom 10, based on his character alone. But based on his figure, that brings him up. If you don't have him, I recommend him. I really do. Next up, the final figure from the X-Force 3-pack. We're going with Rictor. Rictor, man, it's awesome to get Rictor finally. I think he looks like Rictor. I think this is a perfect rendition of Rictor, or a near perfect rendition of Rictor. I like it when you can actually get his hands together. I mean, you can't get them together without the accessory, but if you have the accessory, you can have his hands together and have the look like he's clapping his hands together to cause a seismic rift. And yeah, I just think he's good. Really great addition to my X-Force. He really expanded my collection just that much more. And they gave him all these, you know, brand new sculpted boots, brand new sculpted shoulder pads, I think it's a new belt even. Yeah, I think they chose the right body mold for him. I think he's good. And he has the hair that AOA Cyclops should have had. Look at that hairline. That's not bad. Yeah. I'm happy to have Rictor. So he ranks pretty high. Next up is another Walgreens exclusive. He's the last one I have on the list. Sadly, I don't have Binary. I really wish I had Binary. Just one of the very few figures I wanted this year that I have not been able to find. If anyone has a hookup on Binary, let me know. But anyways, we're going Nova. I bought 6 Novas this year. 5 of them were to customize to make them into other members of the Nova Corps, and then 1 for Richard Rider for the New Warriors. And I like Nova. I think he's a cool looking character. I think his legs are kind of weird, but it's very strange. He actually got a brand new body mold, and no one really mentions that. He got a brand new torso. The arms are Bucky Cap. The legs, honestly, the way where the thigh cut is at is new, but I think from here down is Bucky Cap, and then he has new boots. So it's very strange that they did that. But no one's really mentioning that he got a new torso. I think he looks decent. He looks good. I like him. He's not mind-blowing, but he's good. And I'm glad I got 6 of them. Yeah, he's really cool. Hopefully you guys will be able to find Nova in your stores. I didn't find him in my stores. I got my first one from Canada, and then the other 5 I bought online at walgreens.com. So if you guys need, hopefully, I don't know if they're still up or not, but hopefully if you guys needed one or wanted one, hopefully you guys were able to get one. Hopefully I can get Binary too soon. Next up, the final member of the Fantastic Four. From the Fantastic Four Retro series, we got the Thing. Years ago when Walgreens Thing came out, you know, he was high-ranking figure. He was clearly a top 10 figure of the year back then. And this figure, I mean, it's reused the same exact figure as before, just new sculpt here on his upper legs and painted in the costumes I prefer. If he had the black line work in the cracks on him, he really probably would have been in my top 10 once again. But I love the Thing. I think he is a great sculpt and a great figure. Still one of the best Marvel Legends of all time, in my opinion. But because of those few little drawbacks, and because he is a reused figure with a new head and new upper legs, he can't rank as high as some of the others, unless he was like perfect, and he's near perfect, but not quite there. But definitely the best member, definitely the best Fantastic Four member, and the best Fantastic Four figure of the year. So Ben Grimm, the Thing. And then we have, from Age of Apocalypse, we have Sabretooth. And I mentioned earlier that Cyber used the body mold from the Warlock Wave Cyclops. I mean, not Cyclops, Colossus, sorry. Sabretooth also uses that same body mold. For some reason, a lot of people think this is a brand new body. I don't know why the people think that, but it's totally reused. He is the first person to use this body mold that got new arms. All the rest of them had the rivets in their arms. He got new arms and new lower legs here. But he's great. I mean, I think he looks fantastic. I'm not a huge Age of Apocalypse fan, as I mentioned a few times. But he's a good figure. And I had the old Toy Biz Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth, and that thing was awful. It was awful. This is far superior in every way. Yeah, it's probably one of the best figures from that wave. And if you have Wild Child to go along with him, they're a really good pair. So Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth is my pick for whatever number we're on. And then next up, the last figure from the Excalibur box set, I have Captain Britain. Honestly, he uses a body mold that Hasbro should have been using for years. This body mold first came out in 2017 in the Thor Ragnarok wave with the Odin son, or the young Thor, and then it was also used in the Odin son in the box set that year. And it hasn't been used since. I have no idea why. This body mold is fantastic. It is so much better looking for this scale, this size character, that they should have been using this for years, and they haven't. And they finally brought it back for Captain Britain here, and they couldn't have made a better choice. This is a great look for Captain Britain. He's big and imposing. Captain Britain is 6'6" in this costume. So I think they made a great choice. I think he looks great on the shelf. He has one issue, and that is his helmet. His helmet looks more like a mask than a helmet. Maybe it's a pretty minor gripe, but like you can see the outline of his nose real well, and it should be more like a dome. And yeah, nitpicks here, but you have to get nitpicky when you get this high up in the countdown. So, but yeah, Captain Britain, I think he is fantastic. I'm really happy to finally have a good Captain Britain figure, because the Toy Biz one, not good, and then the previous Hasbro one, all right. Should have used the body mold more like this, and should have been the classic look. So, yeah, Captain Britain. Okay, and number 14. We're going with the last regular figure from the Age of Apocalypse wave. I think I lied earlier. I said that the Zevnu wave was the only wave of the year that I wanted every figure in. The Age of Apocalypse wave, I got every figure in that wave, including the one with no Build-A-Figure piece. I just didn't want to originally. But anyways, Iceman. Age of Apocalypse Iceman has always really been a cool design to me. I love the spiky look for Iceman. I really always have. Even without ever reading Age of Apocalypse until recently, I still loved this look for Iceman. It is awesome. It is really, really cool. I can't get over how cool his figure looks. He almost looks like a ninja with his face covered there. This is like, I wish the other Iceman figures looked more like this one. I wish he was a little bit more frosty, but I think he was drawn very, very blue in Age of Apocalypse. If I was doing a classic Iceman, I wanted to be a little bit more white, frosty. But this is a really good figure. And they gave him a new sculpt. Like, his lower legs here and his arms are very clearly from the the Juggernaut Wave Iceman, but his shoulders and his torso here and his head, obviously, brand new sculpts, brand new. Really, they should like go back and redo all the Icemans. Use this body mold, and then also use this body mold for Martin X from Guardians of the Galaxy. And yeah, just this is great. I really highly recommend this Iceman figure. This is definitely my, even though Age of Apocalypse is not my thing, this is my favorite Iceman figure in general in my collection. It is the best Iceman figure that's been made. It's unfortunate we don't have a good classic Iceman, but this Age of Apocalypse Iceman is astonishing. Next up, when I heard we were getting this figure, I called it my Build-A-Figure of the year, and I thought it was going to be, and I was mistaken. But it is still really good. I mean, it's ranked number 13 out of 61, I think it was. From the Spider-Man No Way Home wave, it's Armadillo. And man, okay, this guy is big and bulky and heavy. My two things I dislike about him. One is they went with a more modern design. I would love to have a more classic looking Armadillo. That's fine. This is the one that's easier to get reused. I still enjoy it. I still like it. It's just I wish it was the more classic design. The biggest issue with him is his articulation. Armadillo, he's a hunched over, crouched over guy, and his feet don't go up, so you can't really have him bending over right. And he also, his knee joints look very ugly when his knees are bent. Both those two things really hold him back from being a top 10 figure for me. Still really enjoy this figure. I'm still extremely happy to have Armadillo. I just, I don't need to modify his ankles or something to make his ankles go up further and do something with his knees. At least paint them orange, the orangey brown color, to make them not be so stand out-ish, I have wanted an Armadillo figure for years, and I am so happy we got him. I think it's really odd we got him in the Spider-Man wave because he's a Captain America villain, but I mean, come on, he's sick looking. He's badass. He's a big, thick, beefy Build-A-Figure. Size-wise, not height, but I think overall weight and girth, he is definitely the heaviest and biggest Build-A-Figure we got this year. So, if you like big Build-A-Figures, Armadillo's your thing. I just wish he was... I wish I could pose him better, that's all. Number 12, I believe. It's another Build-A-Figure. He was the first Build-A-Figure of this year, and he was a concept that I think Hasbro just blew out of the water. It's Stiltman. Right now, I only have him at the base level, but I do have enough legs to make him like 4.5 feet tall. He's usually 4.5 feet tall. I just made him small so I can show him off easier in this video. Stiltman, he's not a crazy character. I mean, his torso is mostly Beetle, but with a new sculpted belt, new lower arms. Actually, they gave him pinless joints, so his whole arm's probably new, but they're very similar looking to the Bucky Cap arms. This whole apparatus here, and then he has accessories. But what blows him out of the water is his legs. I mean, his leg extensions. And then coming with the Hand Ninja, that was a genius idea. I think they did a fantastic job with that. My one thing is when you add the leg extensions, I mean, it's unavoidable at this cost point. His legs get all wobbly and he can't stand really. When I get him to a height that I am totally done with, I'm like maybe like 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. I want to get steel rods to put in there so he can hold himself up better. Because right now he can't. He just wobbles and falls over. When he's like at base level, he can. He holds himself up fine. But yeah, I want him to be able to stand without wobbling and legs bending in half and stuff. But yeah, you couldn't have done Stiltman any better. And he has like almost no paint on his whole body except for his head. Like, for a basic figure, they killed it. And I think this is a cheesy Marvel character that got like the perfect figure for him, and I could have easily put him in my top 10. It's just that leg thing. If he could stand better, but it's not Hasbro's fault. It's not Stiltman's fault. It's the manufacturing thing. In order to make those things work, you had to make them that way. So once I get steel rods in there, he'll be awesome on my display. Yeah, really happy to have Stiltman. Number 11. Now, if you watched Life with Brock's live stream with me and David Displays Model Behavior and Kent Pool Live, I had my top 10 on there. I definitely, from my top 11 here is definitely different than what it was in my top 10. I mean, the same figures, but the order is all different. Because I actually forgot one of these figures existed, and I'm insane for doing that. So this figure was my number 10 on that live stream, but it's my number 11 here now. And it's a figure from the Stiltman wave. It's another Daredevil character, man. It's Frogman. Oh my god, like, they made a Frogman figure. That puts him this high just for that alone. Like, he is one of the most obscure characters I can possibly think of. I mean, he is Frogman. He is a loser. But I'm so happy to have him. He's a fun, cheesy comic book character. He's great on the display. Man, I'm still in shock. It's been almost a year since I got this figure, and he is still blowing my mind that he exists. Like, Frogman, this is what Marvel Legends is here for, man. This is what Marvel Legends is my favorite retail toy line, because they make characters that no one else will touch with a 10-foot pole. I mean, come on. Frogman, seriously. They got his body mold, his body right, using the Doc Ock body. In fact, I think this figure actually uses the Doc Ock mold better than Doc Ock did. So, not going to ramble too much about it anymore, but number 11 is the Frogman. So now we're in the top 10, and my number 10 is a figure that I totally forgot existed for some reason. I don't know how. It's a great figure. And it was on, I think it was on David's list in our top 10 countdown. From the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave. I think this is the last figure from, nope, it's not. I lied. It's the Red Skull. Brand new body mold that was reused for Red Skull and Dormammu, and probably for the upcoming Baron Zemo, and hopefully for like the Thinker, the Mad Thinker, and several other characters. This jumpsuit body mold for Red Skull is great. I'm so happy to finally have a real, true classic Red Skull. And yeah, not much else to say about him. He's real basic, but he looks cool. He looks good. This is what I wanted for a classic Red Skull. And that's what we got. We got two different heads. I prefer this head personally. But if you wanted the other head, you could still use it. I'm probably going to put this Red Skull fighting against the invaders in my display, and then use the old Spider Noir body and put the other Red Skull head on there and have that with my Hydra. But man, seriously, how did I forget this figure existed? I am insane. I totally missed out on him in the live stream, and I had to I had to slap myself for that, because this is good. Yes, his arms are ugly when you bend them, but, I mean, come on. I mean, his knees are too. His knees actually are way uglier, but I'm not going to bend him that crazy usually on display anyways, so I'm not that concerned about it. I just think he's very cool, very intimidating looking. He is a very good classic Red Skull. The number 9, I am going with MODOK. I mentioned earlier about AIM Scientist Supreme. If you wanted to add to your AIM collection, MODOK is absolutely essential. He is AIM, essentially. And I think he's far superior to the old Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, which I still have. I can't sell for some reason. Hoping we get this body reused for Modam and a couple other versions of MODOK. I did not get the Elvis MODOK. Had no desire to get this next wave Elvis MODOKs, but I did really want the captain from that set, and I still really need the captain from that set. But MODOK is awesome. I love this figure. I think it is so comic book looking, and he's bigger than the Toy Biz one, and yeah, man. And I was not upset about his price point. I thought his price point was good for what we got with him. Hoping we get Mojo, the same type of packaging, the same type of setup there for Mojo. I hope we get that soon. And MODOK, I think, opened the door for stuff like that to happen. And if you didn't get him, I mean, I think he's selling for as cheap as like $15 now on some stores. So I'd recommend, if you don't have MODOK, to go get MODOK. And now we're on number 8 in my Marvel Legends ranking. Now we're officially on the last figure from the Zemnu Build-A-Figure wave, the Bring On the Bad Guys wave. It's Lady Deathstrike. Brand new body mold, 100%. Everything's brand new on her. Could she have double jointed elbows? Sure, yeah, but she doesn't. It's not a big deal to me. She gets plenty of range of motion there. An alternate head would have been nice with her like doing a screaming face. She's doing the blank expression, which I'm cool with. I wish they had 2 heads for a lot of characters, so you have an expressionist head and a very expressive head. But I think she's fantastic. I think she's really great. That Zemnu wave, man, it really was a really good wave. I really happy we got that. I hope we continue to get Bring On the Bad Guy waves as time goes on. Yeah, Lady Deathstrike, huge addition to your Wolverine display, far superior to the Toy Biz version. If you have the Reavers, you need Lady Deathstrike there to lead them, and I dropped her, so that's a good way to end with her. Let's go on to whatever number we're on. Here we are at number 7 with the Build-A-Figure from the Age of Apocalypse wave. We have Colossus. Again, was not planning to get this wave originally, but Colossus was just too badass looking not to get. I had to have this figure. He just looks sick to me. He looks really, really cool. And I did, when I played X-Men Legends back in the day, I did usually choose the Age of Apocalypse designs for those characters in that game, despite not knowing those designs very well. But seeing it in figure form, it is awesome. Seriously, I was not planning on getting this wave at all, except for Legion. And I'm like, I don't need them. They're not in the 616. It's fine. I can skip it. But Colossus just looked so awesome. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to talk myself out of getting this wave. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it. And I saw them. I'm like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna get them. And I got them. And I'm so happy I did. I got this badass Colossus. Only thing wrong, I mean, this yellow thing is kind of ugly. It could be better. My only other thing my only big issue with him is the way his thigh cut works there. It's so ugly there. But you can't do anything about that. I mean, I guess you could. They could have sculpted it better. But I don't care. This is like awesome figure. And I don't see how they can reuse this figure for anybody else. Some people say they should reuse him for Outback Colossus, but this is way too big. Way too big, I think. I mean, he's like a Hulk size Colossus almost. So this Age of Apocalypse Colossus, if you don't have him, it's totally worth getting the whole wave for this guy alone. I think he is great. I'm so happy I got this figure. Number 6. Sorry, I had to count. Again, my order has changed from the live stream. So if you watch the live stream and you're here like, what the hell, your order is different. I'm sorry. My top 3 are still the same. But number 6 here is the Psycho Man from the Fantastic Four Retro Wave. Psycho Man, classic Fantastic Four villain I've always wanted. And they gave him a whole brand new body mold for Psycho Man. Come on. No one else can reuse these parts. Nobody else. Psycho Man. half of you out there, most of you out there, probably have never even heard of Psycho Man. He got his own brand new, 100% brand new sculpt for a Marvel Legends figure, and he is awesome. I love this thing. Love this thing. He does everything I need Psycho Man to do. Some people wish he was bigger, but no. Psycho Man is 5'9". He's usually only drawn gigantic on covers. And no, he is spot on, and I am so happy to have this thing. I am so happy to have Psycho Man, and it just blows my mind that we got him. And the way they did his articulation in his legs, man, like that is crazy. They having those tubes and having everything go wrap around it and squeeze in there, and it's thinner in the back here, so you can actually bend his knee and get the full range. Not full range, but most of the range, anyways. I mean, come on, like, let's look at this guy. He's crazy. He's crazy looking, and we got a figure of him, and he's not awful. They didn't cheap out. Maybe on the paint, but I think he looks fine. I think he looks just like a comic book version. If I had that pen I had mentioned earlier, I would totally draw on his lines a little bit thicker. But man, I'm just blown away by Psycho Man, and I hope the rest of you are too. If you don't have Psycho Man, I highly, highly, highly recommend Psycho Man. Number 5 for me is the Build-A-Figure. This is my Build-A-Figure of the year, believe it or not. I really, really thought it was going to be Armadillo, but then this guy came out before Armadillo. Anyways, he's Ursa Major, the giant grizzly bear, man. I mean, come on. It's a grizzly bear with abs, man. I love the Soviet super soldiers. I think in Ursa Major, I think they're really cool. Ursa Major being like the Hulk of their team. I mean, come on, man. They're Russian Avengers, essentially. And we had Darkstar to go along with them this year, and then you have Titanium Man, who's part of the Soviet super soldiers, but is not part of the Winter Guard. You should not be putting Titanium Man with your Winter Guard. I mean, come on. Let's see how they look next to each other here. Titanium Man and Ursa Major. That is sweet. He has good articulation for a bear. He has that ugly hinge in his hand, though, which sucks. And I just can't wait to see what else they reuse this body mold for. I mean, come on. I can tell 2 characters they're going to use this for sure. Number 1 is going to be Man-Ape. They're going to put Sasquatch's feet on here and some different hands and a different head, and it'll be Man-Ape. I really, really hope we get a Man-Ape soon. Like maybe as SDCC exclusive, because that character may or may not be considered a racist stereotype character, or not stereotype, but racist. I don't know. Whatever. And then the other one is clearly Grizzly from Spider-Man villain Grizzly. And I really thought they were going to actually reuse Ursa Major this year in the Spider-Man way, but they put Armadillo in there. Anyway, but yeah, Ursa Major himself, fantastic grizzly bear man. Could his jaw hinge? Sure, but I'm going to pose him like a badass bear, screaming, looks like that anyways. So it's great. Pretty basic, but it's a totally brand new sculpt at the same time, and with some good reuse factor. And I'm really, really happy to have Ursa Major on my shelf. Number 4, I believe he was number 5 originally on my top 10. But after looking at him over and over and over, I can't help but think of this guy as number 4. Actually, now I'm looking at him right now, I feel like he could be number 3. But it is Hercules. Avengers Hercules from the 80s Avengers Hercules. Man, this is the Hercules I was really hoping we'd get in Marvel Legends. And this is what we got. And it is so good. It's so good. They really put some effort into this guy. I mentioned, like, was it 2019 in my top 10 then, or my ranking video then, that when they got the more modern looking Hercules, that if that figure was a classic version, it would have been in my top 10. And here we are 2 years later, and it's not his super iconic classic look, but it is the classic look I was hoping we'd get. And this is, so obviously it's in my top 10. It really honestly could have been my number 1 even. He's just, if it wasn't a character we've gotten before, If I didn't have a custom of him, probably would have ranked number 1. I really, really, really love this Hercules figure, and I think anyone who gets this Hercules figure will love this Hercules figure. He definitely is a great addition to your Avengers collection. If you don't have him, go out and get him right now. You're missing out on a great sculpt. He looks like a superhero. He is ripped. He has the V-shaped body. He is awesome. Seriously, if you don't have Hercules yet, go get him. Honestly, the way I'm gushing about him, he probably could be my number 1, but he's not. But number 3 here, and now that after talking about Hercules, I feel like Hercules probably should rank higher than number 3 and number 2, but I don't know. Anyways, number 3 is the Modular Armor Iron Man. He's only number 3 because of his colors. If he was red and yellow instead of red and gold, for sure being number 1. Just like Hercules, he has the V-shaped body. His shoulders are wide and his hips are small. I think he's a great, great figure. And if you like Marvel vs. Capcom, I'm sure you love this Iron Man. He's the 90s Iron Man. I knew him from the Iron Man cartoon back in the day. I think this sculpt makes him rival the 80th anniversary Iron Man as my favorite Iron Man in my collection, which is crazy to me. Yeah, I think he's fantastic. I love him, and I can't wait for them to do the red and yellow version in a couple years, or next year, hopefully. And makes me really want to start a Force Works collection now. We need the rest of the members of that team in those costumes. So get to it, Hasbro. Come on. Force Works for this Iron Man, because Iron Man is too good to not get a big essential spot in the collection. Number 2, we finally have a classic Ultron. I still can't find his effects. I love those effects. I dropped them and I can't find them anywhere. For years, we've been waiting for a classic Ultron. And we finally got him. And he's perfect. Maybe not perfect. It could have the black lines drawn in there once again. But it's just a figure worth admiring here. It's a great classic villain. Marvel Legends killed it with their villains this year. And Ultron is a pinnacle of that. He is great. But now that I'm thinking about it, Hercules really should be ranked higher than Ultron here. But Ultron is he adds to the collection. Hercules just replaces. We never had a classic Ultron. We had a classic Hercules back in 2007. It was bad, but we still had one. We've never had a good Ultron. We've had wannabe Ultrons. We had the Bunny Rabbit Ultron. We had the Ironmonger Wave 1, the 3-pack one. None of them were classic Silver Age Ultron that's going to rival your Avengers and make everyone fear for their lives that Ultron is coming. Yeah, he just really looked great on the shelf, and they painted him head to toe in silver paint, and that really makes him really stand out. He's really fucking shiny. Sorry for cussing. He's really, really shiny, and he really stands out on the shelf, and he is the main Avengers villain, so you really need him for your Avengers collection. I'm a huge Avengers fan, so having Ultron is an essential. And my number 1 here, no surprise about it if you saw the live stream, it is the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. Just like Ultron, we've gotten lots of Thanos figures over the years, but none have been the Thanos that I wanted, just like Ultron. We kept getting modern Thanoses and movie Thanoses, and Marvel Select gave us a big fat classic Thanos, and they gave us another modern Thanos, and come on. Well, I'm waiting. I had plans to get a custom Thanos done because I thought they were never going to do a classic one for some reason. And here it is, this year, 2020. 2019, 2021, the year of the Marvel supervillain, Thanos, finally gets a classic figure, and I am blown away. It is fantastic. They gave him the snapping hand. He looks just like he did in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline and Infinity War. This is Jim Starlin's Thanos right here, and he's perfect. And if you disagree, well, you're wrong, because this is the best classic Thanos figure ever. Arguably, maybe, you know, some people might want the more modern Thanos, or the movie Thanos, or the Mezco Thanos. God help me, anyone who wants the Mezco Thanos. But classic Thanos, he is the absolute centerpiece of your cosmic Marvel display. Having him, and then having the new Galactus next year behind him somewhere, that it's gonna make a really great display with Thanos standing right there, but in front of everybody, snapping his fingers. Especially if you get a Thanos throne to go with him. But man, and they give him blue shading, and he looks like he belongs in the Cosmic Universe collection, and I'm blown away by Thanos. I'm so happy. I'm shocked that I don't see more people having him in their top 10s. It blows my mind that he's not in more people's top 10s. So that's my ranking. If you guys watched all the way through here, I want to thank you so much. And this is probably a really, really long video. But I'm glad to do it. Hopefully this is as good. Hopefully this does as good as last year. But yeah, this is a really fun time. I love talking toys. Hope you guys like listening. I think this was a pretty good year for Marvel Legends. The stuff that we got that was good was fantastic. It was amazing. The stuff we got that was bad, though, was really, really bad. That Invisible Woman face, man, seriously. It's crazy the quality levels between Marvel Legends that we get every year. This year it was really easy to choose choose favorites and then choose least favorites. The middle is always hard. Those can always change around at any given time. Let me know if you guys want to do. Anyways, let me know if you guys want me to do any more ranking videos in the future. I'd love to rank more toys. I started collecting way more than just Marvel Legends this year. So let me know what you guys thought about the video. If you liked it, please like the video. Leave me a comment. Rank your Marvel Legends you got this year. It's not an easy feat. And then if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I'm going to try to start posting more. I keep saying that every time I come back. It's just, you know, I have a life. It's hard. But anyways, thank you again so much for watching, and catch you next time.